Welcome and good morning once again to our business community support discussions that we've been having every Thursday. And we had a great discussion last week, and we'll talk about how that has went. But we just appreciate you joining us and hearing some of this information that we've put together for you. Joining us each and every week, Cheryl O'Hearn with Spin Market Plus Digital. Good morning, Cheryl.
Good morning.
Good. And also good morning to Chris Patrick from Main Street Fort Dodge. Busy as ever over there at Main Street Fort Dodge. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we've got a great slate of guests that we're going to be talking to today, and I want to kind of introduce who those folks are. We have Carrie Kuiper with Fort Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Vogelbacher with Central Iowa Tourism Region, and you know we may have that wrong on a few slides as we go along, but we'll go ahead and correct that as well. And then also Matt Johnson representing Best Western, Starlight Village, and Brookstone Inn and Suites. So if this isn't enough, Cheryl, we're going to be talking about tourism today.
Yes, we are. That's an excellent program and very timely for us. A lot of things have happened in the tourism industry this year, and we're going to be getting updates on that and finding out what's going on for 2021. And we've got three key people on today that will be able to really give us some great information.
Yeah, there's really some great things that we're going to be able to find out today. So let's go ahead and move this show along, and we're going to bring on our guests. And first we'll bring on Carrie from the Fort Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau. Carrie, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah,
Glad to have you on board.
It's always good to get you here and have you share some information with us as we go along. And I know you've facilitated a little bit of this interview as well. So you've helped us bring on Ann, and you did tell us early on, you said, I think you guys have something wrong on some of your slides. So tell us what we're getting wrong.
Well, Ann is actually the executive director of the Central Iowa Tourism Region. That is different than Travel Iowa. Travel Iowa is the state Iowa Tourism Office. So it's just a slight thing, but it could be big to people.
Okay, so if you see it wrong in our slides, consider this the official correction. So let's bring on Ann. Ann, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm delighted to be joining you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to get you on, and we're going to go ahead and bring Matt Johnson on as well. And many of us know Matt from, so many hats that he wears here in town. But today representing Brookstone and Starlight Village as well. So good morning, Matt.
Morning, Jed. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Cheryl. Good to be part of this.
Glad to have you.
It's great to get you guys on. As we talked about, we're going to be talking today about tourism and the effects that we've seen in the past, and just kind of trying to, as best we can, forecast into the future a little bit and see kind of what we're expecting as we move into the fall and what that is doing to tourism here in Webster County and our area of the state. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the past, 6 months now, as we've all kind of been dealing with COVID. So can we talk about tourism in general, Ann? Can we talk about what that did to like group travel? I know that's something that you're involved with. I'm imagining it came to a screeching halt pretty quick.
That is exactly true. As you said, things came to a halt back in March, and the travel and tourism industry is one of the industries that has been most devastated by the pandemic. In fact, the U.S. Travel Data Center says that the losses due to COVID-19 exceeded $396 billion to date. That's billion with a B. So it's been very devastating to the travel and tourism industry.
Well, and that's probably trickles right down into the hotels. So Matt, I mean, talk about, you've got Brookstone, which, I mean, it's not that you're brand new, but Brookstone's a relatively new hotel here in Fort Dodge. And, you guys have been involved with the transition of the new Starlight as well. And so kind of a lot going on. And then that all happens right as the time COVID kind of hit. So tell us how that affected you guys locally.
Yeah, that was a shame. We opened the Brookstone in August of last year, and then we closed on the Starlight the end of January, just in time for the pandemic to hit. So our timing was great. Um, and there's no question it definitely has hurt occupancy. And at the Starlight, particularly, a lot of the events that were scheduled, St. Edmund's Ball and seminars and conventions, all canceled. So, and one of our primary strategies with the Starlight was the event business. With the Brookstone being located next to Frenzy, we kind of had two event centers in town, and we were really excited to gear up for that. So that's been the most probably devastating part.
Yeah, so as we kind of look at that, I mean, I think, the first few months we did see just complete closure. And then, events started to trickle in and those things started to slowly happen. What sort of changes did you have to make, Matt, to make it to where your guests felt comfortable and people felt like, yeah, maybe we can maybe start to have a few different things with social distancing and some of the things that go on? What sort of changes did you guys have to make?
Yeah, obviously in the physical space, we've changed, table configurations. The primary ballroom at the Starlight will hold 420 to 30 people. We're seated now, I think, for about 150. So we've spread the tables out. We've actually gotten rid of a lot of them. And even in the smaller breakout meeting rooms, we still had some meetings, but the attendance is definitely down, and we're spreading them out. And then obviously the safety protocols with sanitizing the tables and the chairs and the menus and everything. We're doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that the guests who do come are safe. One
of the time frames that really was, I think, just kind of squashed was the wedding industry, right? I mean, tourism is sort of wedding adjacent, right? I mean, when you think of all the hotels and all of the, convention centers that get used for receptions and those sorts of things, did you find that those were just completely canceled? Or did you find that was just smaller groups than maybe had originally been planned on?
When the pandemic first hit, there was obviously a lot of cancellations, but it was more postponements than cancellation. So we've already had a couple of weddings that were originally scheduled, say in March and April, that have been held now in September and even early October. So that part was good. The business was just deferred, but the guest attendance was definitely down. Had they been here in March and April, we would have had 300 guests, and instead we probably had 120. So the numbers are down. Some people have elected to just do small justice of the peace weddings, so we've seen a little bit of that. But I'd say the majority have just postponed rather than canceled altogether.
Well, that's beneficial, I guess, to say the least.
So at least it's something. It's definitely not to the volume that we would love to see. We just have to hope that it does come back.
Yeah. Now, Ann, after you work with a lot of these travel groups, so what did you see as these groups just started to cancel? What did the process look like as far as those conversations when they did cancel? And then have those conversations started back up? And when did that happen?
Absolutely. This is so timely because we just held through Central Iowa Tourism Region and the Iowa Group Travel Association a panel session a couple weeks ago, very similar to this, of having a conversation about the impacts to our industry. And we had Iowa-based tour planners and motor coach companies share some of their experiences. And they talked about their cancellations and how when they reached out, especially to our folks around the state in Iowa that work with group travel, how accommodating everybody was to allow them to make those cancellations, as well as to look at, hey, when can you come back, since we can't currently travel right now with those types of groups in some cases. So I think the tour planners were extremely pleased at the receptiveness of the attractions, the hoteliers, the communities, to communicate with them on their needs. I have noticed as I watch, there are some groups back out on the road. There's some traffic along, especially the Mississippi River cruises right now. I know that there's some groups currently traveling. But what our panelists told us a couple weeks ago is, they're looking ahead, they're visiting with their clients about, when they want to get back on the road. And there's a lot of interest and a lot of pent-up demand that we feel will renew that industry once folks are able to those new group bookings made.
So it sounds like maybe the discussions are starting to happen, but not a ton of actual travel currently. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, I think there is some limited travel. There's also some things that people are doing a little bit creative as far as that's one of the things I think with travel and tourism and also just small businesses, how creative industry and in the business community are. One of our panelists was talking about they have smaller groups and some of their groups are still going to places and doing things, but maybe instead of getting on a motor coach altogether, they're driving their cars and meeting up there, or they're doing more social type of meetup events because they want that social interaction, but then getting excited about getting back out on the road in those motor coaches.
Yeah, and we've talked a little bit on this show about what changes have happened when it came to tourism and when it came to even just recreation. And do you get involved at all in some of the, I guess I would call it local tourism with folks from inside our state who are maybe discovering Iowa for the first time or for the first time in a long time?
Sure. Well, Iowans traveling in Iowa, we're seeing a lot of that and always have been. You know, Iowa's a great market to go do those nearby or even across the state type of trips and vacations. We are seeing a lot of interest in some of the smaller communities and smaller attractions. People maybe are looking for more rural destinations. That was also reaffirmed from some of our panelists on the group travel as well, that folks are looking for those hidden gems across our state. There's also a lot of interest in things that people can do in the outdoors. We've heard from some of our county and state parks and all over community parks, you know, that people are out visiting and experiencing those outdoor activities that they want to go out and have a great time and do things across our state. I know the state partnered, Travel Iowa and the DNR partnered on a Parks Passport program. So, and that's been extremely popular as well.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that Parks Passport program. How does that work? What is that all about?
Sure. The Passport program was a joint effort between Travel Iowa and the DNR, and folks can go out and achieve a passport and then go out and check in at the different state parks and fill up that passport. There were prizes and things early on, and I know that they went through those much more quickly than they anticipated because, again, I think the demand was there and folks were really interested in taking those excursions out in the great outdoors that we have.
Yeah, so we have kind of a look here at what your website looks like, and walk us through this. When people go to the website, they really do have an opportunity to kind of see what Central Iowa has to offer and some of the things that maybe people didn't know about, those hidden gems that maybe you talk about.
Sure. Yep. Well, in our website, we link directly to Travel Iowa for visitors to get that information. Travel Iowa is our state tourism office, and they do a great job of showcasing the entire state. So you can actually click onto the Travel Iowa logo and you can go in and build out a trip. It allows you to set a route. It'll show you things along the way. They've got some really, really great tools there.
Yeah, that's great. And there's actually a video here from our local Fort Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau. And if our technology is going to play along, I'm going to go ahead and play this. So we'll see if this works.
You may not expect to see these kind of hills and jungle-like atmosphere in Fort Dodge, Iowa, but it's here.
The opportunity for the local resident to have a better quality of life drives that tourism to our community. It really gives people from out of town a chance to see the uniqueness of Fort Dodge and why we may be a little bit different than another community in Iowa or another community across the nation. One of the first things we did was we built a state-of-the-art family aquatic center. We started an initiative on our trails program, paved and running trails. We've moved to water trails, all kinds of different things, whether it be kayaking, biking, running. the Gibson City Park. It's a state-of-the-art OHV park for use by anybody in the state of Iowa that has a vehicle that's licensed. It is very, very popular, and I think it is just coming out of its shell now. Campgrounds, facilities, I mean, there's water features out there that you can go fishing, there's hiking. The ridership has been increasing each year as we've been adding those amenities.
I've mountain biked all over the country, and it's really, in the last year, exploding in popularity. We really do have some exceptional trails here. There's 9 miles of single track. You got the beginner trails here along the river. You got intermediate and advanced. So you can come in here and be challenged, whether you're a beginner or advancement biker. So it's definitely worth the trip up just to check it out.
We try to make everything inclusive, and we want to make sure that everything we're doing appeals to all age ranges. We hope you come visit Fort Dodge soon.
Wow, what a great video. Now, Carrie, this is on the Visitor Bureau site. How did this video come about? It really does show Fort Dodge in a great light and show lots of things to do.
So we actually partnered with Travel Iowa, the state tourism office, to produce this video. It was through a Travel Iowa co-op advertising opportunity. And so when we were planning on this video, we could have gone any direction. But since 2017, we've really been talking and working really hard to promote our outdoor recreation. So like every winter and spring, we go to Minneapolis, Omaha, Cedar Rapids, Cedar Falls, and the Iowa Bike Expo, to all these different sports shows talking about our outdoor recreation. So it was natural to pick 3 different activities that could be done in the community outside. Of course, in April, when we were looking at filming this, it became very clear that we had selected the perfect 3 activities because COVID had hit. We knew that, we weren't going to get a lot of traffic in the community for other activities other than outdoor. And so we were very pleased that we were able to do that. But we called up different volunteers and said, hey, would you help us out to film this project? And they stepped up to the plate and did a wonderful job.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think we could have had more appropriate outdoor activities than to things that would have, played well for us in the times of COVID. Where was this utilized? I mean, it's great to have this amazing video, but if people aren't seeing it, that sort of defeats the purpose. So, where was this utilized? Was it who was shown this video?
Sure. So right now, through the co-op opportunity with Travel Iowa, they had a partnership with KCCI. So it is on their website and it's been on some of their social media. Travel Iowa will also have it in different parts of their social media at some point in the future. In addition, the CVB has invested in a statewide cable network advertising opportunity. So we have that running throughout the state in different markets through to mid-October. Then we will likely take a break over the winter months and then hopefully start it again in the spring.
Excellent. So we also have some slides that we'd just like to quickly show that actually show Best Western Starlight. And Matt, for people who haven't been in maybe a minute, it looks pretty great in there.
Yeah, actually, right before we bought it, the previous owners did a pretty major remodel of all the common areas and a lot of the guest rooms. So it's very updated and it is very nice.
So when we talk a little bit about tourism as it stands right now, I mean, obviously we know that much of the, I guess, conventional wisdom as far as tourism goes, those folks probably aren't traveling as much. Who are you seeing in the hotels right now? What sorts of visitors are coming and staying right now?
I mean, it's primarily business travel. You do still have construction projects in the area. We were pretty busy this summer with the hailstorm that hit. So insurance adjusters, both hotels filled up with adjusters. So it's primarily business travel. And then obviously some people do come back still for family reunions and funerals. Again, the attendants are down on those events, but we're still seeing some of that, but not a lot of leisure travel.
Okay, so the Brookstone. This is kind of the outside picture and the website look of it. Like you mentioned, I mean, it was August when this thing was sort of finalized and opened. What is the Brookstone as far as the offerings that are provided and what's available there to folks who may want to utilize some of the services?
Yeah, the Brookstone is obviously Fort Dodge's newest hotel. We do have an in-ground pool, and we built it next to Fort Frenzy to kind of marry those two properties together. So one of the things we talked about, and I think we'll get to that in a little bit, is the staycation idea that people can come, from around the area, stay at the Brookstone. Their kids can play at Fort Frenzy. They can swim in the pool. So it makes it kind of a family-friendly destination.
So yeah, let's get into that stay and play package that is a partnership with the Country Club and the Best Western Starlight. So you guys have put this together, and it really is kind of piggybacking on the thing that we've been talking about a little bit, which is Iowans staying close to home but still doing vacations and traveling.
Absolutely, and that was one of the things when COVID hit. We were trying to kind of reimagine, who would come stay with us, and people obviously aren't going to Disneyland or Las Vegas, and but I think as people, we still want to get away from it all and go have some fun. And so we kind of looked around, what do we have here locally that we can offer? And the Country Club's one of the most beautiful golf courses in Iowa. So we started with that, and David Bowles, the golf pro over there, has been great to work with. And we had some success with that. We had folks from Minnesota, the Omaha area. Did it pack the place? Certainly not, but it did help bring some people to the area and help the Country Club get some new golfers. And this is an area we're going to continue to expand on, besides golf, some of the kayaking, the ATV parks. What can we do to help make it easy for people to come and enjoy our amenities? So.
Well, and you bring up a good point on that, Matt. What that program, while it may not have brought in a whole lot of leads as we would always want, it did have a high branding, and it got a lot of information out there about the Starlight and the Country Club and across Iowa and the outlying states. So while it might not bring as many people in the tourism end right now, it's also looking into 2021 with that branding and letting people know, hey, that's an option for you going forward.
And that's something I think, all of us would like to see. And I think as a community and in this industry, working together more to promote, because Fort Dodge does have a lot to offer. And the staycations are kind of a neat thing to do with your family. You don't have to travel as far. You don't have to be around huge crowds, but there's still a lot we can do here, both with the outdoor arenas. And that's one of the reasons we introduced a shuttle service. We bought a shuttle van. So it makes it very simple. People can come stay with us and we will take them. We can do brewery and wine tours. We can go to the tea rooms, the antique stores. We can take them kayak, down to the river to kayak, those types of things. So you're going to see a lot more of that from us, and then hopefully from our community in 2021.
And you work with a lot of communities and see this all over the state. Is this something that has been sort of a trend in some of our communities in Iowa during the pandemic to begin focusing on local travel and staycations and those sorts of things?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, we are seeing that. Very early on, we saw a lot of groups and organizations talk about the virtual tours where they played the videos and showed people what they can do. So that was kind of the early on elements. And then as people felt a little more comfortable getting back out, they maybe went to a local winery or brewery or the next few towns over. Again, we see people looking for those great places that they can go visit and feel that they're doing all the things they need to do as far as safety practices, which I think Iowans and Iowa businesses are doing a great job with that. So yes, definitely. We're seeing that across the state. We're seeing areas that people are really going out and getting those great experiences that they might not have otherwise done.
So one of the things that you guys provided us to take a look at today, I think is worth looking at now, and that is just sort of the economic impact that coronavirus has had on travel and expenditures in the U.S. And I think maybe you alluded to this a little bit earlier, Ann, but this graph shows kind of what has happened with spending throughout the United States when it comes to travel and tourism. But walk us through kind of what we're looking at here and what that means for local business owners.
Absolutely. Well, as you can see, things are kind of upside down with travel, with the declines. And as I mentioned earlier, the travel and tourism industry is one of the main industries. All industries have been impacted, but severely impacted by the COVID pandemic. And the figure that I used earlier was a national figure of $396 billion. We are seeing that U.S. Travel releases a report every weekly, and the Midwest is starting to creep up a little bit as far as some recovery efforts. But again, there's still a long ways to go yet.
So, I mean, we can see, I think, as time's moving along, that there is improvement, though. There is reason to be hopeful as we're looking forward.
Absolutely. It's not all doom and gloom. Of course, we want to recognize the tough times that our businesses are facing and things like that. But yes, we are seeing, some recovery efforts out there, and, encourage folks to still support local, buy local, consider traveling in Iowa, because you're able to do that safely.
So one of the things that we definitely want to talk about before we end this conversation is, I guess, the future. And as we look into both the winter months in Iowa, which are probably much slower for tourism for obvious reasons, but as we get into spring and summer of next year, what should hoteliers expect? What should those who are relying on the tourism industry, what do you think they should expect as we look forward into next year?
I think if in a lot of cases, our residents will really determine what the hoteliers can expect. Our residents, our people need to start inviting their friends and family when they feel safe. And of course, when their friends and family feel safe, to come to reconnect. And why not select Fort Dodge? Perhaps it's the staycation opportunity at Fort Frenzy and Brookstone. I mean, those are indoor activities that they can do. We've got wonderful museums. We've got a do-it-yourself art studio. We have so many opportunities that families and friends could reconnect and do it right here in Fort Dodge. And so I think as residents, that's where the help will come the most for our hoteliers and our other tourist entities. The other thing is a lot of our residents are part of professional organizations, social organizations, or businesses. As they feel comfortable in meeting in person again, we need them to go and help us get some of these meetings and conferences and conventions. Here at the CVB, we will help you with that. You just have to contact us so we can be of assistance. But I think it's the residents are really going to shape what the impact of is for 2021.
Wow, that's great. And when we think about group travel, have those bookings begun, or is there discussions for bookings in 2021 yet? Or are those still just kind of a wait and see?
On our panel session a couple weeks ago, one of our tour operator companies talked about that they host what they call travel shows for their clients that go and travel with them. And they set up a travel show, and they weren't sure, what to expect at all, but they had all the plans in place to allow for social distancing for, people that came as singles or as a couple, all the different types of people that travel with them. They weren't sure what to plan for, and they had 86 people come to that travel show to hear about what they could do with that company for group travel over the next year. So I think that's a very, very optimistic sign. One of the other things that was shared during that panel session was about, people and feeling safe, and a statistic that I hadn't heard before that I think is important for people to be aware of is they talked about air circulation. And they said that air circulates 30 times an hour on a motor coach, and that compares to 12 times per hour in an airplane. So, that air circulation is constant, and I think that is an important fact to get people to be aware of as they consider, maybe getting back on the road with some of those motor coach tours that they've done in the past.
Obviously, I think there's a lot that goes into, and Carrie mentioned that, when people feel comfortable, right? I mean, I think that's going to play a big role in this, but I think you both alluded to the fact that as a business owner and people who are out there, in some ways we've held back because we're unsure of whether or not the community's ready for something. But in some ways, I think we also have to realize that we're not going to know until we try, right? In some ways, you have to put it out there. You have to put, like Matt did, the stay and play package out there. You have to go ahead and make your plans and put that seminar together, and then see if people will show up, because I think there are people who are beginning and ready to begin seeing our great state once again, and if we give them the opportunity, they may just do so.
Yeah, Jed, I want to jump in on that, because I do think that's something, especially here in the winter time. Obviously, there's a little bit less we can do, so we almost have to make up reasons, for people to come. Prior to COVID, we had some pretty cool plans to do, like a Price is Right game show where a company comes in and actually holds the game show at the hotel, and bring in comedians, or a country music festival and things like that. So I think we'll be seeing more of that. But again, we didn't want to put it out too much until people are comfortable gathering again. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Go ahead, Ann.
Oh, I was going to say, we do have folks that, we talk with our attractions, and, we have a relatively small attraction in a smaller size community, and they're seeing folks coming through their doors from different states. Again, they're, as well as Iowans, they're coming through, they're looking for those smaller town community destinations, and, they are doing all of the things that they need to as far as cleanliness and social distancing. Some of our larger types of attractions have reservation systems. So, travel is still happening. There are folks that are out and they're doing great things. So again, it's not all doom and gloom. I think it's just, we want to see even more of it.
Well, we talk about many, many times, it's the businesses that can pivot. It's the businesses that can find ways to really be creative in this times that tend to succeed. And that's what we're seeing. Carrie, I think you alluded to this a little bit earlier as well, that there's a number of businesses out there who have really done some amazing things to change the way they do things, to provide social distancing and still provide opportunities for fun. And when they do that, I think that it is beneficial both for them and the community.
I think it's really important to remember for businesses that, your business is more than a transaction. Your business, especially if you want to cater to tourism, needs to be about the experience that your potential customer is going to get. So curating those experiences for them, as well as showing them what they're going to be seeing when they come into your business. So like right now, it's very important that they see what your cleaning procedures are. They see if your staff is wearing masks. They see exactly what they're going to see when they come. Of course, if you put it out there that your staff are all in masks and such, your staff should be all in masks when they get there. So, but I think that's the way to help the potential traveler feel comfortable about coming as well. So I think all of those things play into what we're going to see in 2021.
Great point.
That brings up the good point too, Carrie, of making sure that all of those businesses have up-to-date websites, that their digital footprint and presence is really accurate representation of their business, and that fun factor needs to be there too.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, great show today. Thank you so much, Matt, Ann, and Carrie, for sharing this great information with us. We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch and look forward to all the discussion that we get to see as we finish out 2020 and head into 2021. I know that we're going to see great things going on with tourism here in Iowa. So thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, again, great show today with some great guests who talked about tourism here in Iowa. And one of the things that is really sticking with me is that residents here in Fort Dodge and Webster County really are going to play a role in the recovery when it comes to tourism. When we're comfortable to invite our friends and invite our family and to once again hold those events that we've been holding off on, it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, it is. It's a very big area that probably a lot of people didn't think about. They didn't realize that how big of an impact you as a resident or you as a store or business owner in our community can be in helping to bring that back to the level it should be in 2021, which is our ultimate goal, that we'll start a new year with some positive type of news in regards to COVID. But I thought also Carrie's comment of making sure that the businesses are telling everybody what they're doing to be safe, what they're doing to implement safety issues in their business. Matt alluded to that frequently when he was talking about how they made changes within their hotel to accommodate smaller groups and to make everybody feel safe there. And then, of course, Ann's comments on motor and the tourism and how each of those businesses are working, or tourism spots are working to make sure that they're safe and making everybody feel comfortable when they're there.
Well, as you know, at the radio station, we work with a lot of concerts. We work with a lot of events that go on, and many of those for 2020 obviously canceled. And as we look into 2021, I don't know that. I think many of those are going to happen. They may just look a little bit different than they have in the past, and that may be the case. Moving forward, is that we begin to take precautions that we wouldn't have otherwise taken. But I do think that many of those events are, slated to possibly happen just with extra precautions. And so I guess that just means we've learned, and we'll do things in a new way moving forward.
Right, exactly. I think that's very true. And I think Chris can reiterate to that as well with working with her businesses downtown.
Oh, absolutely. We are looking at the events toward the holiday season, and had a meeting yesterday with the retailers. So we're planning some really fun things, but they are going to look different. A little, again, more social distancing, having Santa come through, but having more like a car parade. So we have a drive-through Santa that's going to be in the downtown rather than having the kids be able to sit on his lap. So planning a lot of those things ahead of time, and just remembering, safety comes first. And our downtown retailers really feel that their customers are friends and family. And so they're putting their safety as their top priority.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, before we go, things that are going on here in Fort Dodge when it does come to, the holidays and heading into the fourth quarter here. I heard from the city just this week. They said that, we don't cancel Halloween. That's just a thing that people do on their own. So, it's one of those things where that's going to be up to the individual households. It's going to be up to the individual businesses, how they handle things like that. And so I do think that there are some plans. And Chris, maybe of some things that are coming up here in the fourth quarter that the businesses are planning to do.
Sure. So they did decide to change what's always been known as Ghouls Night Out, the sort of like a wine tour shopping event for women, to something that's more virtual. Also, we're going to be doing a scarecrow contest in the downtown, where we will have clues on our website and Facebook, and people will have to come down and find all of the scarecrows that are out there and match them with the clues. So it should be a lot of fun. Again, it's a way to get people into the downtown, whether they go into the stores or they just decide to walk along the sidewalk and have a really great outing here in the downtown. We are planning on that. Like I mentioned, the retailers have a slate of activities that will be happening over that Black Wednesday through Small Business Saturday event. We will not have our traditional Santa and the Grinch sightings, but we will be replacing that with that drive-through Santa event on November 23rd. And, you know, Fort Dodge retailers are taking advantage and following that national trend of starting that shopping season early so people can be spread out in the stores and not try and condense everybody into that 6-week period of time before Christmas. So I think you're going to see that trend here in Fort Dodge too. So that will be interesting to see how that pans out.
And then, of course, Shop Iowa, the mobile unit, will be here on Monday. And
Right.
We're going to be seeing a lot more of that. And actually, I'm talking to the Goldman Sachs alumni group about that tomorrow during our call as well.
Right. So we have 5 businesses that will be having one-on-one consultations inside their store with Brianne Hall. And then the mobile unit will be out at Iowa Central Community College East Campus. And I believe that's starting, I'm not sure. I think it's at 10 a.m. that's starting. But you can definitely find that information on the SBDC site. And we will put that up here on our Facebook page.
Great.
And that's open to any brick and mortar store. And the thing to remember, like Jim Thompson mentioned last week, if you're a home-based business, but you have products in a brick and mortar store, you can qualify. So I think that is a real good reminder. And also I want to remind everybody to come downtown October 10th. That's this coming Saturday from 10 to 4 for the Kitchener Square Vendor Fair. There'll be 25 home-based vendors there. So if you're doing that early shopping, come downtown.
Yeah.
That's my pitch.
That's your
Well, before we go, there was a lot of folks talking today about being digitally ready. I think we heard it from a number of different speakers. Cheryl, talk for just a moment about what it takes to become digitally ready if it's something that you're scared of addressing as a business owner. Maybe you don't have to be so scared. There are some simple steps you can take.
Exactly. And the first thing you need to do is do your Google My Business page out there, and that is free. You can even put your products on there. But think of your foundation. I've been really busy working with several clients that they've got a lot of the digital platforms there. They just don't have them put together. They're all in their own little world. And when you put them together correctly and make them seen digitally, and of course, once you put it out there digitally, it gets seen all over. You do have to keep working it, but there's some foundation work that you need to do. Google My Business would be the first thing I would tell people to do. And if you don't have a website, you can do something simple such as a one-page landing page on there for that, so you can have your products and your information out there again so that it's searchable. Facebook, your social media is very important. And Instagram for a lot of these retail stores would be great because that's a very visual product. Of course, YouTube, if you want to do any video type of things. So again, but tying them back together and understanding how they all work and how they have a certain platform. And you don't have to do everything at once. Start out with something and get one thing going out there. And remember, I alluded this to a little bit when Matt was talking about the stay and play at the golf course. While they may not have seen as much lead generation in that campaign as what they may have wanted, they did see a lot of traction in regards to branding, and that branding goes forward on there. So it's letting people know that, oh, I didn't know there was a country club in Fort Dodge. Didn't get there this year, but maybe it's in my 2021 schedule. And same way, oh, well, then we can also stay at the Starlight. So those things are very important to remember. branding and what's lead generating, and understanding that some things are branding, and that's what you need to do to get your name out there. And there's things that you can do to actually generate and bring them in, such as selling a dozen cookies with, or giving one dozen away with 10 of them, or whatever you may be. That would be lead generating instead of branding.
Sure. Lots of different options out there, but like we always talk about, you got to start somewhere. I am very excited for next week. And the reason for that is we're going to get to see Kimberly Tiefenthaler again, the Regional Director of America's SBDC. Looks like she'll be joining us once again, along with Darcy Swan. And Dr. Dan Kinney will be here, President of Iowa Central Community College. So a lot going on there, and it'll be great to have Kimberly join us once again coming up next week.
Yes, and we look forward to, hopefully we can get her on regularly again, and she's got things a little bit more organized and can hop on with us every week.
Yeah, that'll be great. So we're definitely looking forward to that. But that's going to do it for this week, unless there was something else that you ladies definitely wanted to talk about. All of our regular contributors listed here. And as we always say, this is broadcast live on the Main Street Fort Dodge Facebook page and also the Alpha Media YouTube channel. But if there's something that you'd like us to address, please let us know. You can do that in the comments, or you can do it by sending an email to us as well. mainstreetfd.org. Is that right? Did I get that right, Chris?
Yes, finally. No, yeah, mainstreetfd.org. It's a mouthful, I understand.
There you go. So just send us an email, and we'll be happy to get that topic covered, or even just answer your question if there's something specific regarding a business or your business that you'd like a little help on. We can at least get you pointed in the right direction. So
add to that, if somebody would like to come on as a speaker, we would be very interested in getting to know that information and putting them on our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Very great. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking some time today to talk with us, and we look forward to seeing and talking with you again next Thursday, 9 a.m. right here on the Main Street Fort Dodge Facebook page.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to all of our speakers today.
Yes, very, very good, and we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.